What? Are you really a doctor in such a rural area? In a place like that, all you get are old ladies and geezers. I was wondering if the doctors at those abandoned places really have medical licenses. Maybe they really are quacks. In fact, maybe it wasn't a medical practice, but just geriatric care.
At the conference, I met Leonardo, a classmate of mine from medical school, for the first time in 20 years. He is the son of the director of Vest General Hospital in Capital, and ever since we were students, he has always called us Po and looked down on us. He leaned in close and whispered in my ear,
Are you seriously a doctor? Didn't you quit medical school halfway through because you couldn't afford the tuition? You're not actually a scammer or something, are you? You didn't commit any crimes, did you?
Certainly, in a rural clinic, there are only a limited number of medical procedures that can be performed. But that doesn't mean I'm a quack or a fraud. But then Leonardo's father, who happened to be passing by, turned pale and turned to Leonardo.
You, who are you talking to?
He said,
He's,
and then he told him who I was. My name is Bruno Rossi. I have a younger brother named Gene. Our parents died when we were very young, so our grandparents took over and raised us. Life was not easy and we struggled a lot financially. Even so, our grandparents tried their best to give us love and care so that we would not have to live in poverty. Whenever the clock struck 3 o'clock, I remember my grandmother's backside making cookies, and the smell of her cooking will always remain in my heart. At school, however, we were looked down upon by our classmates because of our poor background. In particular, my younger brother Gene was often the target of teasing because of his good academics, and each time I stood in front of him, trying my best to protect him.
You try this math. If you're so smart, Gene, it should be a piece of cake. I don't know what it says.
A classmate is laughing and enjoying the sight of Gene, who is having trouble with what looks like a randomly written calculation formula in front of him. Hey, you guys, what are you doing to Gene? His classmates turn to me with huffing and puffing expressions.
Oh no, here comes Gene's brother. Run, run.
The classmates ran away at once. Gene crouched down, looking down and scratching his goofy face. Gene.
Big brother. I.
It's okay. Don't cry anymore. I crouched down as well and waited for Gene to finish crying. I never told my grandparents anything about what happened at school. But since it was a small country town, my grandparents were probably aware of the situation. Sometimes they would look at us with concern, but they would not ask us anything, just gently welcome us back home. Then one day, we were all eating breakfast together as usual when my grandfather suddenly fell down holding his chest.
Grandpa.
Grandpa, hey, can you hear me? But Grandpa lay there without responding. Grandmother rushed to the phone and dials 119. Grandmother frantically told Grandpa's name, that he is unconscious, and that she needs an ambulance to come quickly.
Brother.
It's okay, Gene. I was holding Gene's shoulder, who was about to start crying, but I was also fighting back tears inside.
Yes, that's right. He was unconscious and located in the village of Boza. What? You can't come here right away? No way. Please come quickly.
My grandmother was pleading desperately, clutching the phone tightly. According to what I could hear leaking out, the emergency services would take at least 30 minutes to arrive, as this area was deep in the mountains. I looked at Gene's face. The crying look on his face had changed, and he seemed to be thinking the same thing I was. Without hesitation, we ran out of the house into the village doctor. It was midwinter. Even though it was often below zero in the mornings, we ran barefoot and in sandals. Doctor, is there a doctor here? Are you there, doctor? We pounded frantically on the door of the only clinic in town. Then the door was suddenly opened, and from inside, a white-robed, elderly man peeked out. He was the only doctor in this village. He looked at us and frowned. My grandpa has collapsed, and even if I call an ambulance, they say it will take more than half an hour. So, doctor, please help my grandpa.
Please come help him.
But the doctor didn't change a single expression on his face and said,
I'm sorry to hear that. I'd love to help him, but unfortunately, I'm having a medical checkup for the important politicians today. I can't help you.
Then the doctor gave me a dirty look and said,
I'm sorry, but poor people can wait. Now go home.
With that, he closed the door. I banged on the door many times, but it never opened again.
Brother,
I stared at the door until Jean called out to me. We stumbled home. I'm home, but I didn't hear the usual reply. I had a bad feeling about this, so I went to the Japanese-style room that I used as my bedroom. Grandma, in front of me is my grandfather lying in bed, covered with a white cloth. Beside him sits my grandmother, who is lying face down as if time has stopped.
Grandpa, he's out of breath.
The first thing that came to mind is the fact that the family had been sitting around the dinner table in a friendly atmosphere just a few minutes ago. Grandpa, sorry. Grandma, sorry. I remember the unreasonable things the town doctor had said to me, and I was filled with a sense of inadequacy that I couldn't do anything about it. I held back my tears. The grip of Jean's hand that was being held became even tighter. The next day, a small funeral was held. My grandfather was a very kind man. He always shared the little food we had with the neighbors and brought vegetables from his garden. He was always saying,
Those in need must help each other,
was his favorite saying. Naturally, the neighbors adored him dearly and helped us prepare for the funeral and deal with attendees. In the midst of all this, Jean and I just stared at the image of my grandfather's remains without saying a word. After the memorial mass for my grandfather was over, the Rossi family was gradually returning to their normal life.
Brother,
we were walking home from elementary school, kicking at rocks. What's wrong, Jean?
you know
Jean was fidgeting and looked like he wanted to say something, but he didn't come out. Meanwhile, the stone went away.
Brother, I'm going to be a doctor.
What, a doctor? I was caught off guard by this sudden declaration, but Jean's face was serious.
My grandpa died, but I'm also frustrated that doctor told me that the Pope can come later. I have wished many times since then that I could have helped him. That's why I definitely want to be someone who can help people regardless of whether they are rich or poor.
There was no trace of the crybaby in Jean's voice as he said this. That's cool. If you're going to be a doctor, I'm going to be a doctor too. If we work together, we can do. Strangely enough, an unfounded confidence came into my mind, and I decided to become a doctor in this moment. After that, we worked hard together and studied hard. After graduating from elementary school, we went to junior high school down the mountain. We went to the library and studied until closing time, while our classmates went out and about in town. Although we were studying together, I was mostly learning from Jean. Jean was a good student, and his grades were always at the top of the class. I'm sorry, you can't concentrate at all with you teaching me all the time, can you?
I don't mind,
he said.
I also learn and understand more by teaching. Maybe I'm better suited to teaching.
Thus, Jean and I devoted most of our school years to study and entered a high school with the highest deviation score in the state. After 3 years of hard work, we were accepted into the medical school of a national university. We were able to pay the entrance and tuition fees with the little money our grandfather had left us and a scholarship, but we had to work to make ends meet. So I immediately started working part-time at Averna. It was harder than I expected to balance studying and working part-time, and I devoted myself to my studies, cutting down on my sleeping hours. Jean also put his smarts to good use, and started working part-time as a home teacher. In medical school, there were many children of doctors' families, and we were poor, so we were quite out of place. But most of our classmates didn't mind and treated us very normally. Sometimes they bought us meals, sometimes they helped us with problems we didn't understand in lectures, and we built relationships. Spring had finally come for us. I couldn't help but believe that, although the studies would be tough, with the encouragement of Jean and my friends, the path to becoming a doctor would gradually open up. Until that tragedy. Yes, sir. Now breathe in, breathe out, slowly. Yes, yes, yes. I put my stethoscope on the woman's rounded back and listened hard not to miss the slightest change. Yes, that's good. Yes.
Thank you.
She was about my grandmother's age, and she sat down in the chair with slow movements. Your heartbeat is beautiful, and you don't seem to have changed at all. From today on, you can live a normal life and be fine. But don't push yourself too hard. Come to me right away if you need anything. Take care.
Thank you very much. It's so reassuring to have a doctor here.
The woman looked relieved as she said that. Seeing that, I was relieved too. After the woman left the examination room with a leisurely pace, I continued to fill out medical records and paperwork, and by the time I finally caught my breath, it was beginning to get dark. I was now working at a small clinic in a marginal village deep in the mountains. It's an old-fashioned clinic, and the signboard is worn and hard to read. However, I love the rich nature and warm-hearted atmosphere of this place, which reminds me of the countryside where I spent my childhood. The view of the mountains from the window of the examination room calms me down.
Are you sure you haven't forgotten anything?
I put on an unfamiliar suit and checked my appearance, while Jean helped me prepare everything as if he were my wife. I looked quickly into my black leather bag. I'm fine, perfect.
But how long has it been since you've been to Rome? I haven't been to Rome in years.
I haven't been since that time. I don't even remember. Today, I'm going to a conference in Rome, and I've been preparing for it since this morning. The only thing that worries me is that I have to take a day off from the clinic, but there were circumstances that compelled me to leave for the conference today. I'm off then.
Take care. I'm looking forward to seeing your souvenirs.
You take it easy, too.
Thanks.
With a hint of apprehension, I boarded the bus to head for Rome. I headed for the venue, half bewildered by the crowded atmosphere of a city I hadn't been to in a long time. The venue was packed with people from all walks of life. I greeted my former teacher from college whom I had not seen in a long time, and enjoyed chatting and laughing with my classmates from college, enjoying the festive atmosphere. Then a few of them came walking toward us from the other side with grins on their faces.
Hey, long time no see.
Long time no see.
You look good. Are you still a doctor?
Oh, I'm still doing it. The one who is talking down to me so much is Leonardo. He is a classmate of mine from medical school. Leonardo is the son of the director of Vest University Hospital. It is a large general hospital and is often used as a location for medical dramas. He was always making fun of us who came from the countryside and were poor. It was during my medical school days when I was writing a report in the library on campus. I had promised to have dinner with Jean for the first time in a while, and Jean, who had already finished submitting his report, was waiting for me next to him while reading a book. Then Leonardo approached me quickly, as if he had found his prey.
You guys are so enthusiastic,
he said, and tried to look into the computer screen. I'm desperate here, I said. There are so many technical terms that I can't keep up with my lectures.
I don't think you poor people in the countryside with no connections can become doctors after all.
I looked up, offended. I glared at Leonardo, but Leonardo was not intimidated and turned his attention to my brother.
I was surprised to see him reading a book, but he was still poor. It's strange.
Saying this, Leonardo tried to take away the book my brother was reading, but Gene next changed it nicely. He was offended by this gesture, and his tirade against us became even worse.
We are different from when you were born.
He said,
Even if you could become a doctor, you'd still be a pull-down doctor at best. Even if you become a doctor, you'll still be pull. You'd better ingratiate yourself with me while you still can. If you feel up to it, I can call you a janitor at the university hospital.
I was about to open my mouth to retort in anger, but I held back when Jean reached out her hand next to me and paused to restrain me. I looked down at the report and completely removed Leonardo from my sight. Jean didn't seem to mind either, and seemed to have immersed himself in the world of the book. Seeing us like this, Leonardo probably thought that it was useless to say anything more, and left the place with a cluck of his tongue. I wanted to leave as soon as possible, but Leonardo persisted.
I work at my father's university hospital, and it's the most advanced hospital in the world. I'm not from a poor family like yours.
He boasts, fiddling with his hair, as if he is trying to look good.
By the way, where are you working at?
I'm working as a doctor at a clinic in a village deep in the mountains called Boza. Leonardo looked happy and said,
What? Boza Village? Where is that? What state is it in? Even I don't know where it is.
He still makes fun of me as he did when I was a student.
Really? You're a doctor in the middle of nowhere. I mean, you'd think that only old people would come to a place like that. I wonder if the doctors at such a rundown place really have a medical license. Maybe they are quacks. Actually, maybe it wasn't a medical practice, but geriatric care.
Leonardo's ranting knew no bounds, but then he suddenly turned straight-faced, pulled his face close to mine, and whispered in my ear.
By the way, you really are a quack, aren't you? I'm not sure if you're a doctor or not, but I'm not sure if you can afford it. Didn't you quit medical school halfway through because you couldn't afford the tuition? You're not actually a mole, are you? You don't commit any crimes or anything, do you?
Then he gradually turned nasty and began to make fun of me with his cronies who had joined the conversation before I knew what was happening. At that moment, an unexpected voice came in.
Oh, Bruno, isn't it? How is your brother doing?
Thanks to you, everything is going well. Thank you. Leonardo's father, the director of Vest University Hospital, happened to pass by and called out to us.
Oh, Dad, how do you know about the local quack doctor?
At his son's words, the director's previously beaming face instantly turned pale.
You? How dare you? Who do you think he is?
Huh? Who is this guy? He's a local quack who dropped out of medical school because he was broke and doesn't know how he became a doctor.
You're an idiot.
The director then turned his anger-filled voice on Leonardo. The people around us were staring at us from a distance.
Doctor, Bruno, you know, he is a brilliant doctor who graduated at the top of his class from Harvard Medical School. What? Harvard?
Leonardo froze at this unexpected fact. The number of people around him, which had increased before he knew it, began to buzz at this fact. It was during my medical school days. I was walking to a restaurant with Gene, who was unable to concentrate on his report that day in the library and had to carry it over to the next day. But I was angry. That Leonardo guy, just because he's the son of the hospital director, he made fun of us a lot.
Well, I guess people think it's okay to look down on someone when they are lower than you.
That's why he made fun of Gene so much. I'll never forgive him. But he didn't seem to care one bit about that.
Well, let him think so. I don't care. And more than that, let's make him look back at us by becoming a doctor who can make them gasp.
Gene hugged my shoulder and gave me a big smile. That's when he said,
Look out.
I was already lying on the side of the road when I heard his voice. Gene. I looked for Gene. About 5 meters from where I was lying, I saw an overturned truck. I saw a pair of trousers and shoes I recognized.
Gene, are you okay? I just called an ambulance. Is there anywhere that hurts?
My brother is under the truck. I said that and completely blacked out. When I woke up, I was in a hospital bed. Apparently, I had passed out from shock. According to witnesses, we were walking and a truck plowed into us from behind with all its might. Fortunately, I was only lightly bruised, but Gene was run over protecting me and was hit hard all over his body. He managed to survive, but the impact caused brain damage and left him paralyzed. Thus, his path to becoming a doctor was forever blocked. I blamed myself. Why did Gene have to go through this? If only I had taken his place, this would not have happened. But then, as if to blackmail me, Gene said,
Brother,
he said,
you should study hard for me. Study hard and become a doctor for me. You haven't forgotten what that town doctor did to our grandpa, have you? I want you to become a doctor who can look back on him and Leonardo and the others.
I can't do it. Even becoming a doctor when you're not going to be one. I don't know why you had to go through this. I wish it had been me instead.
Brother, stop it. Brother, I'm glad I was able to protect you. I wouldn't be where I am today if you hadn't protected me from those bullies when I was little. So, brother, you'll do your best for me.
Gene said with tears in his eyes. I knew he was trying to hide the pain in his heart and encourage me in his own way. I couldn't be defeated by such a thing. From that moment on, I studied hard as if I had changed as a person. In parallel with my university studies, I desperately researched how Gene's body could be restored to normal. However, with the current medical knowledge, it was difficult. Is there any way to cure Gene's body? But in the current environment, it would be difficult to acquire such knowledge and skills. There was one thing on my mind, and I couldn't stop thinking about it, even when I was carrying glasses into Vernon or talking with my friends. Then I made up my mind. I dropped out of medical school and went to the US to start from scratch at Harvard University. I struggled to survive in the unfamiliar living and studying environment. At times, I was treated unreasonably, but I was always motivated by the strong goal of fixing Gene's body. As a result, I was able to graduate from Harvard University with first-class honors. I then attended medical school for 4 years, absorbing specialized medical knowledge one after another. As a neurosurgeon, I moved from hospital to hospital in the US, aggressively and successfully performing difficult operations. After several decades in the US, people heard about my excellent surgical skills from hospital personnel throughout Europe. And although I received offers from top European hospitals, I decided to return to Italy, partly because I was worried about Gene. After landing in Italy for the first time in many years, I happened to have some business to attend to and visited the medical school where I had once been enrolled. There I met an unexpected person.
Oh, it's Bruno, isn't it? It's been a long time. I heard you were coming back to Italy, but I never thought I would see you again. I've heard a lot about your accomplishments. I'm proud of you, too, as a fellow Italian.
Long time no see, Director. I am grateful to be so appreciated. Well, I just do my best for the patients in front of me, that's all. Then, after the director often made thoughtful gestures.
Hey, you, where are you working now?
I've only been back home for about a week, so I've been trying to get in touch with. The director then made an unexpected suggestion.
If it's okay with you, would you like to work at our hospital? Of course, we'll give you special treatment.
The unexpected offer surprised me. I had been harboring an idea in my mind and decided to take a chance and make a bold offer. Thank you. I would gladly accept your offer, but only if you accept my conditions. I will be in charge of all the difficult surgeries. How would you like it? The conditions were as follows. The first is that I would like to perform gene surgery at U of S. It is a very difficult surgery, but I would be willing to perform it myself. Second, I would like to be able to take care of Jean in a good environment. Because it is a difficult surgery, it is necessary to spend a long time for rehabilitation. For this reason, I want Jean to be rehabilitated in a relaxed environment without being a burden on him. The director listened to my story and pondered for a while. Then he said,
Okay, I will accept all of your conditions. You will be in charge of difficult surgeries as much as possible. Of course, we will support you as much as we can.
He smiled as he said this. Thus, as a neurosurgeon at S University Hospital, I took charge of and successfully completed a number of difficult operations. As a result, I gained the complete trust of the hospital and finally decided to operate on Jean, which was considered to be very difficult. As you can imagine, I was nervous. If I had failed, I would have been in trouble. However, I had overcome many difficulties in the past. I'll be fine. I will succeed. I held the scalpel in my hand for dozens of hours in a tense atmosphere. Jean's operation was a success, and his post-operative progress was confirmed to be favorable. I am now living a leisurely life as a doctor, examining the bodies of villagers and watching over Jean, who is working hard on his rehabilitation without strain.
You can't be serious. I can't believe that Bruno did all those difficult surgeries. Oh, but he can't lie as much as he wants about being a Harvard graduate, can he? If it's true, I'd like to see him prove it.
Leonardo is still trying to trick me at this stage.
You still say things like that. You know, Bruno, I'm going to ask you to give the main presentation at the conference today. It's a paper on your brother's surgery. I'm so happy that this will save so many patients again. I'm about to cry.
While the director is overcome with emotion, Leonardo's skeptical expression deepens even more. Then suddenly, the director pointed at Leonardo.
Leonardo, you don't know enough about being a doctor. First of all, you need to listen to today's presentation. If you think you can sleep through it, you are wrong.
Leonardo seemed to have hit the nail on the head and his shoulders jolted.
Then you should come and observe Bruno's operation. He's amazing. He can't hold a candle to you. Take this as an opportunity to learn from him.
Huh? I'm the one who will eventually be a professor.
You're an idiot.
The director continued in disgust.
Who said anything about making you a professor? I want Dr. Bruno to succeed me. I've already talked to him about it.
What? Oh no.
Leonardo was shocked that his vision of the future had fallen apart so easily, and he fell into a heap on the ground.
Director, what do you mean by that?
But the director put it over my point.
A lot of people would be helped if you came to our hospital. People around me talk about me behind my back as someone who only looks out for money, but I don't care about that. It is true that the more surgeries I do, the more money I make, but hospitals that only care about money will eventually go out of business.
He coughed once there and looked me in the eye.
In the end, what will remain at the end of the day is a hospital that can save patients who thought they couldn't be saved. I believe that with all my heart.
Knowing the director's secret thoughts for the first time shook me to my core, but I immediately saw Jean's face in my mind.
I'm in no hurry for you to answer. Take your time and think about it.
Yes, I will definitely give you an answer after consulting with my brother. I bowed my head. Leonardo, don't be so close to me.
Shut up. I don't have time, you see.
I've been feeling a bit of a hassle lately because of the way things are going. The presentation at the conference was a great success. Gradually, the reputation of SU University Hospital has been growing. And one more thing, the situation surrounding me has also changed. Leonardo, who had been so sarcastic and abusive, started to follow me around like a dog. Whenever something happened, Leonardo would always say,
Hey, I'm the next professor. I'm not going to lose to someone like you with your false career record. I'm going to steal all the skills you've learned abroad.
And then he says,
I'm not going to let you beat me.
Leonardo is mean and proud, but he is a man of guts. I have no interest in being a professor, so I hope that he will become a good doctor. As for Gene, since his surgery, he has been getting better day by day. And although he still has some paralysis, he has recovered to the point where he can live a normal life. And now he is using his experience to become a rehabilitation trainer and support the clinic. Until now, the clinic could only provide medical examinations and not sufficient care afterwards. But now that it has rehabilitation functions, it can provide care without strain while monitoring each person's physical condition. This was very well received by the villagers, and the clinic quickly became very popular. The clinic was always full, and I found that I could no longer see the patients by myself, so a doctor from Mess University Hospital came to see the patients on a weekly basis. Next week, the clinic is scheduled for remodeling. From now on, no one will ever call the clinic a rag and bone clinic. I think I have finally answered my grandparents' wishes. It doesn't matter if you are poor or rich. As a doctor, I have fought desperately to save many lives. Every time I stand on the operating table, I am painfully reminded that people are equal in front of life. From now on, I will hold on to my beliefs and save the lives of those in front of me. It is 9 o'clock in the morning, and the clinic is filled with many lives today.